Roblox obbies have always been packed with a community that looks towards nothing shy of pushing the human limit. It seeks out just how far we can accomplish before things inevitably halt. Specifically, in the lens of a game called Eternal Towers of Hell, it was commonly thought that the former hardest obby, Tower of Impending Doom, would stall this process and remain at the top for at least half a year. But with the development and completions of 2 recent towers, that would later be disproven. This was something unexpected and unforeseen by the community, and it further begs the question, what will the hardest obby look like after this one? That's what we're going to be looking at today. We'll be going over many towers that could be completed in the near future, which ones have a chance at taking the top 1 spot, and looking at what the future of the hardest obbies may possibly tell us. Do note that a lot of the predictions are merely speculative, as they could be subjected to potential buffs or nerfs, or just be outright forgotten with newer releases. Let us talk about the most recent completion, Tower of Paradise. It is a horizontal-based Unreal tower made by Maclocks that was recently added inside the Pit of Misery. It was one of the more popular choices of upcoming Unreal towers back when it was still in a separate game, called Caleb's Soul-Crushing Domain. It is another very short tower, below 10 minutes in length, and also features maximum punishment up until floor 10. The gameplay can be comparable to something like Tower of Vacant Hindrances, at least in the way that it is heavily reliant on strats in order to beat it. There used to be noticeable progress from a player named True Spirit, but more recently, a player by the name of C. Ryan Play was making quick progress, reaching towards the end of floor 7. Unfortunately, however, he had become inactive ever since. This was when Yasmania1M decided to take it upon himself to verify it, and he managed to do so while fluking the entirety of floors 8 to 10, an absolute beast. As for the difficulty, while it remained unverified for a while, the current consensus places it somewhere in bottom Unreal. Apart from the few unbalanced sections, the raw difficulty of this tower is much easier compared to other strat-based Unreals, so I could see it being placed at most below Tower of Blind Fate. Moving on to another popular Unreal tower, Tower of Zen Surplus. It is yet another very short tower made by CL Azulski and... oh my god. It is yet another very short tower made by CL Azulski and Skitsuna, and is officially the sequel to Tower of Spiraling Fates. It seems like almost every single upcoming tower follows the same trend of being below 10 minutes in length, because this one happens to be no different. In fact, the only similarity it has compared to its predecessor is that they both have a no jump floor in the second half of the tower. The only progress put into this tower worth mentioning is from Joel Koot, who managed to get to the start of 7, Exexic getting to floor 5, and C. Ryan getting to floor 4. It is currently ranked mid-Unreal not only in the Eternal Abyss, but on the official hardest towers list as well. Though, I don't think that will be the case. Sure, floors 7 and 10 are extremely difficult and definitely hold a lot of the weight, but not many people have actually tried the tower and tried to figure out some strats behind it. I believe that once this tower gets verified, I think it will end up having the same fate as Tower of Kordi Yuya, being ranked lower and lower as time passes. And although I heavily doubt it will be below Citadel of Infinite Void, I would not be surprised if it got placed below Tower of Monochromatic Haze. The next tower is what most people would consider either a step up from where we are right now, or even beyond it. Tower of It Never Ends by CL Azulski, Skitsuna, Z Player Slayer, and 7 Zaki1 was a previously ranked high Unreal tower in the Eternal Abyss, though nowadays it sits a bit below that. Like TOZS, this tower is also a sequel to another one of CL's towers, this time being Tower of Elongated Runs, and it works pretty similarly, with the main differences being that it features more client objects and that it is twice as long. What really makes it interesting though, is the progress that people have been making on it. The world record rumored to be a whopping floor 8 by Serenity, but there is hardly any proof of this other than a far message. Other than that, there's surprisingly a player who may have gotten to floor 6 by the name of Living on My Couch, and someone who got to floor 4, known as A6IQ1. As long as this tower does not receive any big nerf dates, it is pretty much inarguably top 1, being viewed as one of the future stepping stones towards the human limit. This next one is a bit of a gray area, because ultimately, I think it depends on whether this tower is added in the Pit of Misery or not. Tower of Rebirth The End by plasmicc 30 and SoCal 50 is ranked as a mid-Unreal tower on the unverified list, and currently has the second highest bounty out of any Unreal tower, sitting at a 15,000 Robux prize pool to whoever verifies it. The world record was only floor 3 by Tin Enderman, until it was improved by Gene the Obvious, who managed to get to floor 8. Even though this tower is ranked at mid-Unreal, I actually found it to be closer to low Unreal. That is assuming people find strats in this tower, which they absolutely could. For that, I could see it being placed at either above or below TOZS, but not top 2 as it's being currently portrayed. Wow, another tower milking the concept of Citadel of Void. So exciting! In all seriousness, there's barely anything to talk about for Tower of Void, except that it's ranked peak Unreal, even above S.T.O.N.E Reborn. But honestly, this tower could be coming sooner than you think, with every individual floor between 1 through 8 in the original already being done legit, and floors 9 and 10 being super nerfed in this version. Skitsuna could very well get some surprising runs in this tower, such as reaching floor 7. And if this does turn out to be his magnum opus, it may very well stand out for the test of time on this list. God knows how long it would remain at the top 1 spot, or if it even gets dethroned at all at this point. It may very well be his final project that he has put countless hours into. Speaking of S.T.O.N.E Reborn, it could be in a bit of a weird state as to where it will eventually end up in the long run. Considering that it was never really meant to be this hard in the first place, it is a near peak Unreal tower made by Ice and Salt and 7Zaki1, which actually underwent a super buff after it got into the Eternal Abyss. Whether it gets reverted, updated, or possibly deleted is up in the air, but I personally think that it may eventually get reverted. After the super buff version released, this tower was viewed to be very intimidating at first. No significant progress was made, and the furthest anyone really got at the time was only floor 2 by Gene the Obvious. This was until Scuffy was able to get to floor 5, in perhaps the most bizarre way possible. This progress may seem promising on paper, until you realize the entire difficulty comes from the second half. The current world record on this is floor 6 by Joel Koot, which is where the real Threshold Guardian is located. But because I intuitively think it could get reverted to its original state, it will only be a former shell of itself in difficulty. And the original Rebirth in this case is only ranked around Citadel of Infinite Void difficulty. This is the last tower obby we're going to be talking about, and it's the hardest one that will be discussed in this video. For the past year, pretty much everyone and their dogs were starting to hype it up as some sort of glorified human limit tower. Tower of the Drive Towards Human Limits, made by Adan3482 and Findable Tag. It is easily the most popular nil tower apart from Citadel of Void, but unlike Citadel of Void, there's a slight possibility that someone could verify this one day. It is a 20-minute long baseline nil obby, which is full of technical and jank gameplay. The only problem is, the gameplay looks absolutely horrendous to the point where even if it were to become doable, at that point, there would probably be a way better option for a first nil tower, similar to what happened with the original S.T.O.N.E facility. But what would that tower be in question? Maybe it hasn't been made yet. Only time will tell which tower it will be to break the difficulty barrier, or if we ever break it in the first place. And well, that concludes what the future of the hardest obbies may possibly look like. Let me know if there were any other towers that I could have possibly missed out on. But for now, thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe.